He was heavyset. His eyes were very beady. There was just something unsettling about him when he looked at you. It was like he was looking right through you. I can't 100% say with certainty that I was on the same car as him on the Long Island Railroad, but I'm almost positive that was Rex Heuermann. I wanted to find out, just like every other person on Long Island, who was the Gilgo Beach serial killer. This is Murder Maps.
Today, we'll be plotting out every detail of the Gilgo Beach murders on a map.
I'm a senior crime reporter for the Daily Mail, and I'm obsessed with covering crime and true crime. I love the mystery and suspense, and also talking to victims and their families and just connecting the dots. I've been around over 20 years doing this, so I guess I don't take myself too seriously. Like some people are just so serious, that's not me. So today we're gonna be talking about the Gilgo Beach serial killer. Rex Heuermann is innocent until proven guilty. This is not too far from where I live. Let's start with the plot of the murder.
For years, women had been disappearing on Long Island.
2 human legs that apparently had belonged to a woman.
We are on Ocean Parkway. The area behind me is a massive crime scene.
In 2010, investigators began finding multiple sets of human remains in the brush along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach.
So Gilgo Beach is a barrier beach on the south shore of Long Island. It's in the town of Babylon, and it's approximately 27 miles away from Rex Heuermann's house. I was a young mom on Long Island, also reporting about crime, basically. And when we found out that there were these bodies of young women cropping up along Ocean Parkway, it was pretty terrifying. Gilgo Beach and Rex Heuermann's house is literally in my backyard. The beach is a great place for surfing. It's a popular area for that. Really busy during the summertime. People go there to hang out, sunbathe, swim. But during the winter months, it is very quiet, isolated, remote. Not many people are around. And it's just a strip of parkway with no lights at all. So it's really an ideal place to dump a body. This is Gilgo Beach right here.
Hello, you dialed into the 911 system. How can I assist you?
Shannon Gilbert was a 23-year-old escort working on Long Island. On the night of May 1st, 2010, she made a frantic 911 call from a client's home.
State police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
She believed someone was after her.
So Shannon Gilbert was a 23-year-old escort. She advertised her services on Craigslist, and she didn't really know Long Island at all. She was living in Jersey City at the time. She went into some type of panic. She called 911, basically asking the operator that she needed help. When the operator asked her where was she said, "I don't know," because the truth is she did not know. She came to Long Island in the dead of night. When the operator asked her, are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County? Again, Shannon Gilbert said, I don't know. And then she felt that someone was coming after her, chasing her.
Please.
And then you hear her running out of the house, breathing heavy. And all you hear is footsteps of her running, breathing heavy. And the operator is on the phone with her, and then you hear a knock on the door. And she goes to a man's house, and he asked her what was wrong. And she said, someone is chasing me. I need help. He wanted to help this young woman, but she kept running, and eventually she ran into the marsh.
Police conducted an exhaustive search in the area for months, but couldn't locate Shannon. Finally, in December 2010, in an area near Gilgo Beach called Oak Beach, a police officer and his K9 found human remains.
A stunning development. A Suffolk police officer with his K9 Blue found a woman's body along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach.
But it wasn't Shannon.
This is Oak Beach. It's right over here. And here's a close-up of the Oak Beach right on this map. She left the Oak Beach Association. Oak Beach has about 300 population. It's a very small community. So she was in this gated community. I was there 2 summers ago to just check out Ocean Parkway, Gilgo Beach, the whole area. And it was really strange that she was in this gated community and she ran out of there to the marsh. The marsh is right there when you walk out. I think what happened was Shannon ran into this marsh, thinking that maybe she would be able to get out at some point, but that wasn't the case because it's a massive area where the weeds and the reeds are 12 feet high. There's no lights. It's the dead of night. You can easily get disoriented. And during that time, Suffolk County Police said that they were putting in trenches for mosquito control. And there was a lot of swampy areas, and she could have fell into one of the trenches. So we don't know to this day.
Police found the bodies of 4 women near Gilgo Beach on Long Island. These women became known as the Gilgo Four, kicking off a hunt to track down a serial killer.
So as the search crews were searching for Shannon Gilbert, thanks to Shannon's mom.
I'm gonna find Shannon if it takes me the rest of my lifetime.
Otherwise, the police probably would have never searched the region for her. They stumbled upon 4 dead bodies that were all later identified as young women in their 20s, all sex workers. 3 out of the 4 of the women were wrapped in burlap and their hands were bound. And here they were along Ocean Parkway. These bodies were very close to one another. This grouping was called the Gilgo Four.
There was a striking similarity between the 4 women discovered by police. Petite, about 5 foot tall, around 100 pounds, all working as online escorts.
These were young girls, mostly in their 20s, who were very petite. Some were even under 5 feet tall, and they looked very innocent and a little vulnerable. Ocean Parkway is not like 10th Avenue in Manhattan. There aren't prostitutes who walk the street. And Ray Turney, the Suffolk County DA, was doing an interview and he said that Suffolk County is so massive and there's so many areas that are rural and remote, aside from the suburban areas, that it really is an area where bodies can get dumped.
Throughout the spring of 2011, investigators continued a wide-ranging search for Shannon Gilbert. By May of that year, police had discovered 6 more sets of remains in the same area, but still no Shannon.
As search crews were looking for Shannon Gilbert, in addition to the Gilgo Four, they found 6 other bodies along Ocean Parkway, bringing the number to 10. I pinned 6 of these locations where the bodies were, but some of them were not completely intact, these bodies. When 10 bodies were found, it was unreal. Like, we drive along this parkway all the time.
What is now very clear is that the area in and around Gilgo Beach has been used to discard human remains for some period of time.
When the bodies started being found around 2010, 2011, the New York Times called me to get to the press conference that the district attorney was doing, but I wasn't able. I just had baby, so I couldn't get down there. And it was killing me that I couldn't go because I am just obsessed about the case. The case was personal, it was close to home. When I was back on the case, I was just determined to cover whatever I could about the victims, the alleged killer, the families, whatever I could. Thinking that there was a killer among us who still wasn't caught was really unsettling. I didn't know anyone that was like scared to leave their house, but they were a little more mindful, a little more cautious. I think it was always in the back of people's minds. You know, there were these young, pretty women who obviously they chose a field that is dangerous, prostitution, sex work, but they were still human beings and people, and you just always think about the people they left behind, because I feel like there are probably a lot more victims out there that we haven't even found yet.
Finally, in December of 2011, Shannon's body was found, a year and a half after she first disappeared. At the time, it wasn't clear if she drowned or was murdered.
So Shannon Gilbert disappeared on the night of May 1st, 2010, and After searching for Shannon and finding all these other bodies, Shannon Gilbert's remains were finally recovered in December 2011, nearly a year and a half after she went missing. This is where Shannon Gilbert's body was found.
With the discovery of Shannon Gilbert's body, the total number of recovered remains found on Ocean Parkway bumped up to 11.
Gilbert's autopsy was inconclusive. Over the next few years, there was debate over whether Gilbert was killed or drowned in the marsh, as suggested by Police Commissioner Dormer.
This may be just a young lady ran into the brush and, expired.
After Shannon Gilbert was found and the police claimed that it was accidental, inconclusive, and the family believed that there was a murder here and that she could possibly be linked to this Long Island serial killer, the case went cold for more than a decade. And then in 2022, the Suffolk County Police Department brought in Rodney Harrison, a former NYPD detective who had a stellar reputation. He built this task force, and after 6 weeks, a suspect had been identified. Thank you. Lots of maps. Okay. Wow. Okay, this is Manhattan. This is Rex's neighborhood. And this is pretty much where I live, and Queens, Long Island. Let's take a look at the accused.
In July 2023, Rex Heuermann left his office in Midtown Manhattan.
So Midtown Manhattan is a very busy area. There's a lot of offices. There are a lot of residential spaces as well, but it's a place where a lot of commercial buildings are located and businesses because it's not too far away from Penn Station. Rex Heuermann's office was located on West 36th Street, which was so close to Penn Station. I imagine that he walked to the office every day. Rex owned RH Consultants, which he started in 1994. It was an architectural design firm, but it's not architect in terms of what we'd normally think about, which is like building a home, building an office. He was more about permits and building codes, and he was really good at what he did. He had a lot of high-level clients, Target, Foot Locker. So up until the day he was arrested, he was working at this company that was doing, I guess, well.
Heuermann was an architect and owned his own firm, whose customers included Target, Foot Locker, Catholic Charities, American Airlines, and other tenants at JFK Airport.
Born and raised on Long Island.
Okay.
Been working in Manhattan since 1987.
Rex's office. We just pinned Rex's office in Manhattan on West 36th Street, and 2 blocks away is the Empire State Building. And this is Penn Station.
Heuermann worked in Manhattan, but lived in the village of Massapequa Park with his wife and 2 children.
So Massapequa Park is a great area to raise a family. It's a beautiful area not too far from Manhattan, but close to all the parks and beaches. They have great restaurants, great bars, great shopping. It's family friendly, and I do go to Massapequa quite often because they have some really good restaurants. And knowing that Rex Heuermann lives so close to me was crazy. So Rex lives right on First Avenue. Right there.
Massapequa Park is a quiet community located within the southern portion of the town of Oyster Bay on Long Island.
So Rex Block on First Avenue is beautiful homes, manicured lawns, people who really take care of their homes. But then when you come across Rex's home, it's kind of shocking. Most people's first reaction is what? Because, right, he's supposed to be an architect, but meanwhile his house sticks out like a sore thumb. It looks like it belongs in a wooded area with a beat up car in the driveway. And it really does look like a home that a serial killer, I hate to say it, would live in. So Rex Heuermann most likely walked to the train station every day to get to his office in Midtown Manhattan. So he would leave his home on First Avenue and walk to the Long Island Railroad station. From his neighborhood in Massapequa Park, he would go right to Penn Station, which is about a 56-minute to hour train ride. I happen to be on the same train line as Rex Heuermann, which is a Babylon line. So
scary.
scary. The fact that Rex and I were on the same train line, definitely not the type of person I'd want to sit next to and have coffee with and chat. One night when I was coming home after working late, I could have sworn I saw Rex. He looked massive, and he had that brown chestnut hair, wavy. He looked like he was a little sweaty and kind of like busting out of his button-down shirt. And I just got a weird vibe. Obviously, I wasn't sitting next to him, but I just got a really weird vibe when I saw that guy.
Human has a very imposing appearance.
Rex was clearly over 6'2", 6'3". He was heavyset. He had a very large face, and his eyes were very beady. There was just something unsettling about him when he looked at you. It was like he was looking right through you when he saw you. I can't 100% say with certainty that I was on the same car as him as a Long Island Railroad, but I'm almost positive that was Rex Heuermann. Rex had such a striking resemblance, someone you really couldn't miss and could definitely pick out from a crowd. A lot of people thought he looked like an ogre.
Heuermann is married with 2 children. His wife, Asa Ellerup, was born in Iceland and would often take the children to see her family there in the summers. Police believe that during these trips, Heuermann committed the crimes.
So Rex was married once before, and then he married Asa Ellerup. They ended up having a daughter together named Victoria, who's in her mid-20s now. Asa had also been married previously, and she had a son named Christopher, who is, I believe, in his early 30s. So the family lived in Massapequa Park for more than 20 years, and Rex and Asa, according to people who knew him, would rarely see them together. We are seeing my neck of the woods. This is Long Island South Shore, and we're looking at Nassau and Suffolk counties. Now let's take a closer look at the victims.
10 sets of remains were discovered in the search for Shannon Gilbert along Ocean Parkway. When her body was discovered, that number bumped up to 11.
In this investigation leading up to his arrest, there have been 11 sets of remains recovered. So Maureen Brainard Barnes was a single mom from Norwich, Connecticut, trying to just make some extra money to pay her rent. I understand that she was possibly getting evicted from her home. So she went out to meet Rex Heuermann in 2007, and she disappeared. And Maureen was actually the only victim that was not wrapped in burlap of the Gilgo 4. The fact that Maureen was not wrapped in burlap makes me think that the serial killer learned that he needed to hide his victims better. So Maureen was contacted 16 times before she vanished, and the person that was calling her was calling from a burner phone. So Melissa Barthélemy was originally from Buffalo, and she was living in the Bronx at the time she disappeared. She had dreams of becoming a hairdresser, and one night in 2009, she vanished.
In the weeks following Barthélemy's disappearance, her sister began receiving phone calls from a man using Melissa's phone. The calls continued for weeks. In one call, the caller told the young girl that he had killed Melissa.
Megan Waterman was 22 and one of the youngest victims. She traveled from Maine to Long Island, where she was contacted on a burner phone. She was last seen leaving the Holiday Inn Express in Hop Hog at 1:15 a.m. and hasn't been seen since.
Megan Waterman was a 22-year-old mother from Maine, working as an escort. On June 5, 2010, she was contacted by a burner phone. The following day, at 1:31 a.m., she was contacted by the same burner phone. There is security footage of her leaving a Holiday Inn Express in Hop Hog, Long Island, around that exact time. She was never seen alive again.
So Amberlynn Costello was 27. She was living with 2 other roommates in West Babylon, Long Island. On the night she went out with Rex, one of her roommates actually saw her getting picked up in a Chevrolet Avalanche and drove off. Once Amber disappeared, the roommates gave police a description of the car that she was picked up in.
Costello's roommate played a key role in helping identify a suspect in these disappearances. He described one of Costello's clients as having an ogre-like appearance and driving a Chevy Avalanche, which became critical in the investigation to come.
Amber Lynn's disappearance becomes crucial to the investigation, and we're going to get to that later.
Maureen Brainard Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello are known as the Gilgo Four.
Those women were the Gilgo Four, and this is where their remains were found. Along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach.
By May 2011, police had discovered 6 more sets of remains in the same area, bringing the total up to 10.
After the Gilgo Four were discovered, 6 more bodies were discovered in the area. The Manorville 2, which was Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor. Then there was a woman named Peaches and her toddler daughter, and then Asian Doe, which was known to be a biological male, but a cross-dresser. And then finally, Karen Vagata, who was 34 and also known as Fire Island Jane Doe, since part of her remains were in Fire Island and part of them were found on Ocean Parkway.
Since the taping of this interview, the victim known as Peaches was identified by authorities as 26-year-old Army veteran Tanya Denise Jackson. Her 2-year-old daughter was identified as Titania Mary Dykes, born in Texas on March 17, 1995. Forensic artists created renderings of the victim referred to as Asian Doe, seen here. They were biologically male and found wearing women's clothing. It is possible they identified as female. At the time of this recording, their identity is still unknown.
The fact that there were 10 bodies/remains found in one area along Ocean Parkway in Suffolk County makes me feel like they're linked to the same person. How could it not be? Many of the victims that were found were bound, either with a belt or tape, and they were also wrapped in burlap. Now, the burlap is supposed to blend in with the natural vegetation that was surrounding the area, so they would not be seen.
About 6 months later, in December 2011, Shannon's body was found. A year and a half after she went missing, the 11th woman discovered along Ocean Parkway.
18 months after Shannon Gilbert disappeared, her body was located in Oak Beach, right here. Here are the 11 victims that were found. Rex Heuermann has only been linked to 7 so far. So we are looking at the area where Rex lived and raised his family, and Midtown, where Rex's office was located. Then we are looking at South Carolina, where Rex apparently had some property and where he hoped to retire to one day. And we're also looking at a larger map of the tri-state area: New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Yonkers. Let's take a look at the investigation.
Amber Costello's roommate was key in identifying a suspect in the case. His description of an ogre-like man driving a Chevy Avalanche was a major breakthrough.
The night that Amber Lynn was picked up by her date, her 2 male roommates happened to see a car picking her up. This car was a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche, which is an unusual make and model. And police were interviewing the roommate once Amber Costello vanished, and they realized that they had a serious problem. The roommate gave the police all this information about how the man who picked her up looked like an ogre. Just dark hair, light eyes, massive, heavy build. And basically, the police took all this information but never did anything with that for a while.
Police took a closer look at Costello's phone recordings from 2010. They discovered that a burner phone had called her incessantly around the time of her disappearance. The same is true for the other women in the Gilgo Four. With help from the FBI, they determined that most of those calls connected to cell towers inside a small area of Massapequa Park, Long Island.
All the victims from the Gilgo Four were contacted on burner phones, and at one point, these calls that came in were incessant. For instance, Maureen got 16 calls in a row, which is terrifying. Police determined that many of the calls from the burner phone were traced to this area in Massapequa Park, right near Rex Heuermann's home.
Police soon discovered that Rex Heuermann fit the description of an ogre-like man, lived within the area where those burner calls were made, and drove a first-generation Chevy Avalanche. They discovered the Avalanche parked at another property he owned in South Carolina.
So Rex Heuermann was found to have had property in South Carolina. The area is where he obviously spent some time at and planned to one day retire, and that is where police located his car. This is a map of South Carolina, and Chester is the town near Charlotte where Rex Heuermann's vehicle, the first edition Chevrolet Avalanche, was found by police. Suffolk County Police Department was working along with the Sheriff's Department in South Carolina. Once they realized that Rex Heuermann had burner phones that was linked to a cell tower near his Massapequa Park home, and the Chevrolet Avalanche was used in that area, they linked it to his property in Chester, South Carolina.
Police also looked at Heuermann's personal cell phone records and determined that his cell phone was in the same area as all of the burner phones that were used to contact the victims, Midtown Manhattan and Massapequa Park.
During the investigation, Rex Heuermann's personal cell phone was found in the same location as the burner phones, here in Massapequa Park, where his home is, and here in Midtown Manhattan, where his office is located.
In addition to all of that, police received surveillance footage of Heuermann making payments to a burner phone at a store near his office.
So here is Rex Heuermann's Midtown office, and there was a cell phone store Rex went to purchase more minutes on his burner phone in Midtown Manhattan. Oh my God, it's a complete smoking gun that he had bought more minutes on his burner phone. Of course he did, because he's calling these poor young girls 16, 17, 18 times in a row. So he obviously needed more minutes for that.
With mounting evidence, police began to tail Heuermann.
The pizza crust was actually what got him arrested. Apparently, Rex had eaten some pizza for lunch. He put the crust and the remaining pizza in the trash bin outside his office, and police were able to match the DNA on the pizza crust to a hair that was found on one of the victims that revealed a match.
Investigators collected a pizza box he threw out in a trash can outside of his office in Midtown. DNA on the crust was consistent with a DNA profile found on a male hair discovered on one of the victims' bodies.
During the investigation, police found pizza crust in a trash bin right near Rex Heuermann's office, right around here.
The DNA proved to be a 99.96% match to the hair found on the Gilgo Beach victim.
The fact that the DNA from the pizza crust matched the hair that was found on the victim, it's a no-brainer. They got their guy.
With DNA evidence, along with cell phone records linking Heuermann to the burner phones, and the discovery of the Chevy Avalanche, police made an arrest.
So these maps look like Manhattan and Massapequa Park. Let's take a closer look at the arrest. So Rex had been working all day at his Midtown office on West 36th Street, and he was leaving his office, heading to Penn Station, and all of a sudden he was swarmed by police officers, and I believe they were undercover, and that's when he was arrested. And it was breaking news.
And we are following breaking news. A major break in a cold case.
In July 2023, police descended upon Heuermann as he left his Manhattan office and made the arrest.
Here is Rex Heuermann's office, and he was arrested right outside of it. So Rex pleaded not guilty to all these charges. We live in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. However, there was a lot of evidence pointing to him. After Rex was arrested in July 2023, he was charged with 3 murders. The first 3 girls of the Gilgo 4, 6 months later, the fourth victim.
In connection with the death of Maureen Brainard Barnes.
And then months later, he was charged with 2 more murders in Jessica Taylor and a young woman by the name of Sandra Castillo. The case goes back as far as 1993, but this past summer, Rex Heuermann was linked to Sandra's murder.
In addition to those 6 victims, in December 2024, Heuermann was charged with the murder of a 7th victim, Valerie Mack, whose partial remains were found in November 2000 on Long Island. She was initially known as Jane Doe No. 6.
The 7th victim was identified as a Jane Doe. Some of the remains were found in Manorville, which is a very remote area in Suffolk County, easy to dump a body. And then the rest of the remains were located on Ocean Parkway. This Jane Doe was identified as Valerie Mack. When Rex was getting charged with murder, there was so much going on. There was search warrants being executed at his home in Massapequa Park. There was search crews going through the weeds and the marsh in Manorville, where some of his victims' remains were. And Daily Mail was right there. They were at the house. They were in the thicket and Oak Beach and Gilgo Beach and Manorville, where these crews were searching for evidence and victims. We were there the whole time. I mean, it was unreal.
Back in Massapequa at his home, police began to raid his property, looking for as much evidence as possible.
After Rex was arrested, his wife and his 2 children, Christopher and Victoria, had to leave the property. It is unclear exactly where they went, but police literally took apart the entire house from top to bottom. They went into the backyard. There were bulldozers. There were crime scene vehicles. It was so comprehensive, and it was weeks that the media stood there every single day, taking pictures and documenting every container that was removed out of Rex Heuermann's house. I am pinning Rex Heuermann's home in Massapequa Park. The crews would stay there at least 9 to 10 hours a day, just carrying out paintings, furniture, digital evidence, dolls. He had guns in the house, up to 200. It was just unreal. During the search warrant that went on for weeks, people from all over Long Island who were into true crime would come and visit the crime scene. They couldn't get too close to the house, but they would come with their cameras and videos and take pictures and just document what they were seeing in real time. Some podcasters were coming and filming at the scene. It was just unreal what was taking place.
Perhaps most disturbing, police uncovered a Microsoft Word document they say Heuermann used to blueprint and plan out his kills, which was created in 2000 and frequently updated.
Detectives found a planning document that Rex Heuermann had been using. It was a basically how to kill guide. The document was how to select the victims, how to kill them, and how to dispose of them. Everything he could think of was in that document, from what weapon to use, how to get rid of DNA evidence. It really gave you a sense of what was going through Rex Heuermann's mind. It was like a blueprint for him, and it was typed on a computer, going through every possible scenario once he met the victim until they were dead. I think that Rex was extremely meticulous. Based on other people who had an interaction with him, he was confrontational, maybe a bit of a narcissist. He was so detail-oriented that everything was in that document.
2 forensic labs have confirmed that hairs on 6 of the 7 victims are forensically tied to Heuermann, members of his immediate family, or others he lived with.
I mean, thank God for genealogy today, because a lot of the victims would have never been discovered. This is the courthouse where Rex has been spending a lot of time since he has been arrested. Every few months, there is a hearing at the court to find out what will be Rex Heuermann's fate. Let's take a closer look at the trial. So the courthouse is in Suffolk County. It's called the Arthur M. Cromedy Criminal Courthouse, and the courthouse is on the 4th floor. I am pinning the courthouse, which is right here in Suffolk County.
Heuermann was arraigned in Suffolk County Court in Riverhead, New York. He pled not guilty.
It doesn't matter what I think, whether he's guilty or not. The evidence will tell you otherwise. During one of his hearings, Rex said, "Your Honor, I am not guilty of these crimes." That was the first time anyone in 2 years ever heard Rex Heuermann speak. And considering like his appearance, his voice is so different. I thought it would have been deeper.
Rex Heuermann, I'm an architect, I'm an architectural consultant, I'm a troubleshooter.
I just did not expect it to sound the way it did.
The judge ordered him to await trial in the Suffolk County Jail without bail.
I believe the jail is behind the courthouse, somewhere around here.
On Friday, March 28, 2025, the judge in this case kicked off what is called a Fry hearing, examining whether DNA evidence is permissible in this case.
The Fry hearing was on Friday, March 28th, 2025. The hearing was open to the public, and just getting into the courthouse, you had to have your media credentials. The security is very tight, and the district attorney is there, and Asa Ellerup is there, and her daughter, and...
Was Heuermann there?
Yes.
Did you see him?
I did. There's been a lot of hearings since Rex Heuermann was arrested, but Friday was a significant day because they had someone who was testifying. So Rex came in, and on Friday he got to sit in between his attorneys, and it was a long day of testimony and cross-examination.
The Fry hearing could last a few months.
The Fry hearing was basically talking about the crucial DNA evidence.
And the defense is trying to get it thrown out.
Exactly. And Asa Ellerup and her daughter Victoria, which is Rex's ex-wife and daughter, were there on Friday. I was sitting right behind them and just was waiting to see, what their reaction was, seeing Rex, coming out of the prison. It's emotional for the family to see a family member going through this, guilty or innocent. Asa seemed pretty composed, but I felt like their daughter Victoria seemed a little distressed and upset at times. I mean, how could she not? It's her father. It's just not a great situation. So since the Fry hearings just started and there's another one coming up, I would imagine that it's going to be over the next few months. These Fry hearings have to take place before the trial starts, and that is to be determined when that will be. So that is a hard time. We have Las Vegas on this map, and we have South Carolina on this map. Both of these maps are where Rex Heuermann apparently had some property. Let's take a look at the aftermath of this case.
Investigations spread to South Carolina and Las Vegas, where Heuermann owns property, with detectives there taking a new look at cases of reportedly missing women. Heuermann has not been charged in any additional investigations.
Those two properties were here and here. So during the press conferences that often happen after a hearing at the courthouse, me and some of the reporters did ask about whether Rex Heuermann was linked to any cases in both Las Vegas, Nevada, and South Carolina. And there is a number that people call in to, but nothing ever came to be in those areas. So the South Carolina property is a little strange because apparently Rex sold it to his wife, who became his ex-wife, who eventually sold it to Rex's brother. The home seems to still be in the family.
Heuermann's estranged wife, Asa Ellerup, filed for divorce shortly after Heuermann was arrested in July 2023. In early 2025, they had reached a divorce settlement.
So less than a week after Rex was arrested, his wife of over 20 years, Asa, filed for divorce. And just this past Friday, the divorce finalized, and Asa was in court with their daughter, Victoria. She seemed very calm, considering that she just finalized her divorce from her ex-husband, who might be the Long Island serial killer. So Robert Macedonio is Asa's attorney. It's finalized, and maybe Asa seems very calm because she's possibly relieved that this is behind her now and that she can move on. I think like all America, particularly Long Islanders, want to know how this case will end. When this case is going to go through trial, is there an end in sight? Will Rex eventually plead guilty? Will there be more victims found? Will Asa sell her home and move elsewhere? There's just so many things that we still need answers for, and I will be there reporting on it every step of the way.